Okay, remember that they are changing my voice and that they're covertly drugging me and fuming me. This video is about the issue of responding to racial insults with moral precision. Okay, the issue of responding to insults with moral precision-based racial insults. So firing back. How did David respond to Goliath? How did Christ in Revelation 19, as a character in the story, respond to rebellion and mockery, what have you? Before I get into this, let me point out the obvious. On the trajectory I'm on, I'm almost certainly going to die before my viewers in terms of my flesh, right? My soul will never die. And they're going to remember this on some level, some on a more conscious level than others. And they're going to know they went out like complete punks, that dishonored their families, that refused to be men. If they're females, they refused to be women. And then I manned up to the extreme. Something I've been aware of for a long time. When I made a song when I was 16 years old, I said, the white man will never conform me. And I'm proud that I've never conformed. I've never sold out. Almost 3 decades later, and I've never sold out. Also on the issue of who's what race. So Elon Musk is said to be part Jewish. Okay. Donald Trump might be part Jewish. Gavin Newsom might be part Jewish. They're all English-ish, right? Scottish-ish, right? United Kingdom-ish. We see the English, quote-unquote, royals are put out there to the extreme. And we see that people speak English in America. They speak English in many places in the world. They don't speak Hebrew. So if the Jews are behind this, why aren't they trying to get everyone to speak Hebrew? Why are there churches everywhere instead of synagogues? And there's many things like this, right? The powerful Club of Rome, it's worldly powerful. They're worms, but they have a lot of money and political power, what have you. You have the Greek fraternities and colleges. You have, the stories of the Jews killing Christ. So if this is all being done for the Jews, they're not very smart, are they? No matter how you slice it. Now, if it's being done for white people, obviously, the ones who are insisting on it aren't very smart either. Because why commit to evil for a bootlicker's pittance? Okay, it's boring to be like King Charles, right? Just giving speeches all day, sitting and waving at people. It's stupid. It's boring to be Harry or William. That's not like the ideal lifestyle or something. It's all these politicians, they look very bad. Their churches are full of hypocrisy, all the child molestations. Their governance has failed miserably. If it's being done for the LGBT community, my goodness, okay? To this day, last time I checked, when you look up the word gay, they spelled it G-A-I-X instead of G-A-Y, yeah. And it means stupid and pointless. So they're doing it for their community or something so that they can continue gay parades and be seen in a very negative light. So all the child sex changes, trannies in sports, it's safe to say if the LGBT community is the main people doing it, right? If they're the main people doing it, then they're complete idiots. And just like in this case, if they're doing it to kind of say, well, he slips on his words, so I'm slipping on my words, so what? Okay, I'm manning up, and I'm having difficulty speaking because you're fuming me because I'm manning up. While you're acting like gay parade bitches, like complete cowards, utterly disgracing yourself, your families, your friends, and your ancestors, bringing children into the world that are utterly disgraced because of your actions. Do you think that's smart? Now let's get into the 6 points I have so far on the issue of responding to racial insults with moral precision-based racial insults. And keep in mind, 189,000 people die every day. I'm not one race, right? I'm two, arguably three. I'm white, Jewish, and black. But first and foremost, I'm black, right? Black patriarchal gene expression, right? Brown skin, big lips, curly hair. There's the potent gene expression, shaped like an African, not like a Jew. Pretty straightforward. So when 189,000 people die every day, they're not the same race as me. None of them are, basically. Even biracial people, there's slightly different biracial races. So if you do it in terms of race, their races are being massacred every day. And like no one like me is dying like any day. And one day I'm going to die, and you do it by numbers, I'll have massacred them in the spirit of righteousness while they often are on their deathbeds whimpering and praying to God and I. So you can't think that, that they magically won. That's stupid. So before we even list the first point, I'm winning by default. And for them to harass me and act like gays throwing a fit, white supremacists throwing a fit, some psychotic boarding school or reform school teacher throwing a fit or something, is very immature. Acting like some British guy with a wig throwing a fit, that's stupid. Very, very stupid. Look at the Shaka Zulu BBC series. How was the King of England in that series depicted? And it's BBC, right? It's made by the English. He was depicted as a complete idiot. Why Shaka Zulu is this great warrior. I mean, what don't you people get? But let's get into this. Point number 1. Racial insults attack a whole group, their ancestors, and their offspring in many ways, including subtle ways. Does anyone doubt that? Please, if you disagree with any point, put in the comments what the point is and why you disagree. And you'll see that I can clear it up very easily, that I'm right. Point number 2. When a group or groups insult black people, especially because of their moral deeds and divine martial arts, okay, especially because of black people's moral deeds, right? If they're mad that they're complaining for a good reason, or they're mad because of, Martin Luther King, Mandela, Malcolm X, or anything that seems moral or is moral that they're mad about, then they are defining their non-black groups as evil. For example, if you depict Martin Luther King as like a monkey, okay, and you say immature things, then your argument is that you're an evil piece of you-know-what, who is not man enough to not do it that way. And there's lots of you doing that, and there's a concerted effort. Your argument is that you're all bitches. By your actions, that is your argument. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart, is what the Bible says. Heart, he art. Is your art a clown ass, circus bitch, making fun of people who are far more masculine and moral than you are? That's pathetic. Be a man and give credit where it's due. Point number 3. God's order is and is logically the Royal African Falcon top martial artist order, although not all black people are good people. Again, God's order is and is logically the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order. The falcon, faster and master, flies the fastest, flies closest to the sun, has a certain vision, divine insight, bird's eye view, what have you. It's a symbol of the top martial artist style, faster and master, right? Diving and divine, and so on and so forth. Win and wing, and so on and so forth. Point number 4. Everyone who rebels against the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order is doing the wrong thing, and the racial insults are based on the wrong thing. They're based in the wrong thing, they're based on the wrong thing. Unless they are strategically insulting a group for the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order, then it is a bit more complicated. Okay. So if their racial insults, for example, is aimed at, say it's white people aiming at Jews, and they're saying, we're doing it for you, right? Depending on exactly what they're doing, okay, it can be an exception to the rule. One way or another, it's more complicated. So again, everyone who rebels against the Royal African Falcon top martial arts order is doing the wrong thing, and the racial insults are based in the wrong thing. Okay, so is it based in actually trying to come into the divine order, or is it based in just insulting somebody? So now why is this point important? Because why are you racially insulting anyone? So if I were to say, hey, why do white people have the spectrum they do, Jews, and so on and so forth? If I was to say that, it's based in justice. It's not based in some kind of racial competition. I'm not even one race. It's based in saying, why are you doing that? For example, in the Bible, the prophecies against the Philistines, prophecy against Cush and Egypt, and prophecy against Israel, they go, the prophets are talking about these people in terms of groups. And the idea is it's based in justice. Okay, and the prophets, like me, right, Semitic, right, they're mixed. Some are darker than others, some are lighter, as the story goes. Okay. So depending on why exactly one is racially insulting a group is whether or not their racial insults are based in the wrong thing. So there's a difference between a bunch of Nazis calling me names and me saying, okay, let's talk about you and your race, and let's talk about that versus what I'm doing, because you come together as a group in the name of your race, and your race isn't separating from them. The Germans aren't saying, hey, we're going to be different from them from now on. Let's draw a line in the sand. They're not the same kind of Germans as we are. Just refer to us separately, okay? Then it's fair for me to insult them together because they didn't do what it takes to separate themselves. We said Revelation 18. All of you write this down. It's very important, very important. I'm going to write it down myself right here too as well to remind myself. Revelation 18. It says, come out of her, my people, so you will not share in her sins. Paraphrasing. I'm pretty sure that's what it says, but it might be paraphrasing. That's what it's getting at. It says, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins. Come out of the spirit, come out of the people, come out of your relationship, being on board with, part and parcel. Come out of complicity, come out of being an accomplice, separate from them and say, I'm not with them, it's them, not me. Or you share in their sins. And we see right now that the whites and the Jews, they're all playing the New World Order game, just like all the other races for the most part at least. And therefore, as they break into compartments, they're playing the game. Even if they're a white liberal and a white conservative, it's a left-right paradigm. So they're working together for the New World Order, which has the races more or less compartmentalized so they can be judged as a group. If you disagree, please put in the comments. I'd love to hear any argument that people have to say. Remember, I'm the one insisting that people conversate about this, people talk about this, and other people are avoiding my videos. They're suppressing them while I'm being racially harassed. It's pretty open and shut here. Point number 5. I'm gone way over time. I'm going to wrap this up soon. As far as anyone knows, white-skinned Jews and whites, and of course LGBT people have cultures and groups. The white race for whites and white-skinned Jews for Jews that were forged outside of God's order and with a lot of hypocrisy. Okay, so as far as anyone knows, white-skinned Jews and whites, and of course LGBT people have cultures and groups that were forged outside of God's order, and they were forged with a lot of hypocrisy. So it's not the same thing. When you insult whites and Jews, it's not the same thing as insulting blacks, because that includes the divine order. For example, if in the Bible, which is just a story, there were some Jews who were doing the right thing and a lot of Jews that weren't, and every other race was doing the wrong thing, for you to insult Jews and the sum total form is not the same as insulting these other groups. They're all doing the wrong thing, but some of these guys are doing the right thing and they're in the spirit of God. So to insult that group is therefore to insult this group in that way. That's in the spirit of God, therefore it's insulting God. It's a different story, different. That's a different dynamic. Point number 6. Because of their racial attacks, psychological, technological, etc., I am 44 and not married when I should be married to a clearly beautiful woman. They are doing things to take away from my physical and romantic appeal, and even trying to get me to settle, even trying to get me to be gay or gayish. Okay, need I say more? I am right to respond to their racial insults, which are based in their flesh, their mere pagan ways, their jealousy, their evil, with my own racial insults aimed at them. Okay, to say, hey, for example, what white kings were great? Name one white king that was great or anywhere near comparable to the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. A lot of people will take that as a racist insult, even though it's facts. And it's a response to them saying, we was, last word say, kings, and try to insult black people, which includes me, and I'm the king of kings. So they say, okay, name one. If you can't do it, and you get mad, you're like, I want to kill him, you start throwing a fit like a bitch, make no mistake, it's because I'm right. And you're a fucking bitch that can't admit that, a pussy.